And all it's set for that, okay, here's what happened when we.
I'm back there.
Any brief on this stuff. I asked him, hey, you want us to get our last one and be free? Okay.
So it's
We'll start this side. Because the blocks aren't standing.
yeah,
Honestly, you don't know if it's charging or not.
yeah, because like over here, this is the north side of town. Well, on this side of town, the lateral roads are definitely smaller.
You're gonna service our area, you need to know what's going
From
on.
what I've noticed, because they get real tight.
You need to know what I'm doing.
Vehicles try to get, especially when like on
The
here.
part is the pavement's small.
Yes.
So no side,
Okay.
we're here, we just here, we're
You
problem.
have the pavement.
That's just there, that's right.
Over time, they just break off.
And they, well, that's the biggest issue with what I was talking about with some of our chip seal stuff, is because you can't chip seal on dirt. So if you don't redo some of the roads, we have a major deterioration. Yeah. Yeah. Not to say you can't do it, you can do it, but it's not gonna work. So, yeah, because we have, we have a lot of edge deterioration because they didn't do full width, so people move over, and then when you have that run overs.
Oh, I drive in the grass all the time. Passing cars in this town every Tuesday.
That's what we did. We go like brush pop at somebody, watch it, or we go on our hydrants, make sure they operate.
I wish all of our streets were like, have you been over there, seen on Palisades Avenue, Church Street, the county redid? We even went even further because people were having issues with.
This goes back to South. For someone who's doing that, our companies don't want to tell.
We were in the process of working through the budget.
Hey.
Well, what we've been looking at too is, a lot of our barnages, they're underground, are deteriorating, and we cleaned out. So that's why, like, in this presentation, you see we're trying to set up that streets program. And we can work to do Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, we've talked about this before, but it sounds like they haven't done it in 20 years, 30 years. I mean, yeah. Because we're looking at for Alsace, they're not Alsace, Ashton. I've been trying to get give us, he did the laser grade of it, and we're trying to see, because I know we can't afford to do a project that the engineers are like, they're looking at what's happening, but if we go over there and look, it's the grade of the road initially that we might be able to change, or get back to what it originally was, because if you look at it straight, you can see where it goes out like that, because when we get past the rain, it starts, where if you go over the street, here towards the schools, Bob Neighbor. Oh, on the left-hand side? Yeah. I saw the name today.
And that's a question. He has told me that one time, one of the there so fast, he backed up, so
Well, what happens is we should, like in some parts of it, it should have the middle
come and pick
where
you up,
it's,
take
it
you
has
to
a
the hospital and
little
stay
over,
there.
yeah, swell, so then it has the ability to.
I would capture you in San Antonio somewhere, come a year.
Yeah, because there is one section that I showed you pictures where it does what it's supposed to in the middle.
I did this, so you're saying you don't
Yeah,
have to.
well, there's a portion that's still intact, but there's probably
They have two in the bay out
two
there.
blocks in the front that are, and one block after. Yeah, and so we were talking about, you could go in there and do, $80,000 of street repair and get it back to where it needs to be. Because it's just been chip seal, changed, and
My feeling on that is we
Decide to
spend
do this,
$2
we probably get
million.
EMS.
All the water that comes off that 100 acres off the town.
That's why I want to do it.
There's a couple holes, just say water somewhere in the bay. Put it in the grade, put it in the 20.
Well, the EMS guys, we're gonna hire, we won't use their EMS, so we'll get those tax dollars from Walmart, or whatever, supplemental. They're not gonna be on charge.
That's what I'm saying.
Mike was talking about, which is the drainage sort of thing, but you're still looking at because I was talking about that, he said it
And it's
would
ice cream day.
be $1 million plus just to get some kind of underground drainage.
I know what you want to build.
Everywhere.
And I mean, we're just trying to get caught up and figure out, my agenda is, getting back to the streets. If we get half an inch or half an inch there, then you go down a block and it's perfect. Then why isn't the whole works like that? And so I'm looking at, I got one thing, and I'm just trying to get the history together and, trying to get back.
I'm gonna go back and like, I don't know. They're driving through Park Ridge.
Something to
They
keep an eye
remodel all
on.
their streets, and what they are is they put in a 1 foot wide.
We'll need EMS people to have definitely all sides of this calls.
Push Park Ridge, smooth, no curves, no sidewalks. And that's what they do.
I've got to do it. I've been by this a lot here.
Last couple of years, they got a whole city under, so.
Ground runs.
It looks beautiful, it really does.
What's the next one, right?
Or you're saying it's you got two streets, you don't have, that's not a thing you're looking at.
Well, on one road, usually.
Yeah, that's an option. Maybe reinforced concrete. Both sides of the thing. Future erosion factor down on the edge of the middle. But. That's what it is. Entire street. Real fast. Real compacted base.
That's the problem.
I don't know.
All they do is, he found the bus. He found the bus. That time it was basically off.
Well, I would like to see, because he had a really good,
Well, he did, I have some preliminary ones that are done with presentation, and he showed that, where that needs to be, this is just an example. It's like, I forget what measurement that is, but it was like 40 to like 80, and we're at like 200. So it was like, what he was showing was that it's gonna take such a large project just to alleviate that, because we can't just go in there and make it from 200 to 100. We need to get it to where the range of manageability, and that's what he was saying. Yeah, this problem should have been dealt with, but he was saying the church was doing their things, there's a couple different things out there.
acre that they turned into impervious cover that the church is really.
So you're blocking the camera.
Yeah, I mean,
And I played it cool, like, y'all just stand around.
No, we're waiting for you to get out of the way. Oh, I'm sorry, you're making mine for me. I didn't know that.
That's actually, so it's no matter.
I think you need 3 more strawberries, and then we'll keep them.
Hey, I'll go back to work.
I got one the other day after the birthday cake. My wife looks at me and she says, what's all that red stuff on your shirt?
She's like, well, I guess I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Yes, that stuff gets all over you too.
It was a rough city council meeting.
There you go.
And there's a hole somewhere in that vicinity that, and I guess over the years, he's always maintaining it and mowing grass around it. And he said, I'm not mowing grass around it.
You're right.
He said, I can't mow it.
I carry it down.
And I told him, I mentioned something, he saw one of the city employees there the other day. He mentioned something, but he said there's nothing to be done. And one of y'all can say, no, that's on the old highway. Old highway behind Cedars, when you put down the road, comes out to the house.
Hey,
Friendly Highway 90.
you were saying they changed the state law that says that
Well, he did traffic gas.
in the city.
No, that would be called city sidewalk fence.
And that's a state law related to everywhere or does that do with these? Because probably not the problem. You know, the cash flow is never It was existing sign.
Yeah.
Existing sign, that was
Is there something right there?
Right, and that was something that's, but that's something true. You say they always have my wife lost.
Last night's study session, we had basically determined, I think they were familiar with it, that a city owned sign needs to be around here.
It all fell because of the chamber said they don't want to mess with this anymore, so we were gonna take it over. And that's when they said, well, if we do, and I think Arnie even talked about it.
Property owner said they didn't want to lease value. They were in the process of selling it, so
Right.
that one went away. So
There's something there that he always has maintained, he gets on the
or
outside.
sell the property or give the
He
property.
goes and he said,
I don't have anybody said, you gotta get somebody to come, somebody who wants to
I
sell.
can't go
Or
around,
if they're
can't
talking
go
to
with
somebody
that home.
on the east side,
I'll
sell
try
us
to
the
work
property,
out for it.
or give us the property.
Well, it's just a new puppy picture.
Well, I.
Is that his doghouse?
West side, that's,
Beautiful. So you can come say hi to Loki.
well,
He is officially very much taller than Athena now.
but since it's an existing sign,
He was up against me this morning, and his back's right there. That's Loki.
The 22nd of August. And you stick that on the surface, try to give it to us.
Oh, yeah, we understand that.
why does it have an existing sign that's on the donated
Range yesterday.
donated sign?
Yeah, if he donates it, and they.
No, Louisville, out off of Gross
The
Concord.
city put their sign on his property.
Right, a little bit of everything. Yeah, we rented a bay tour for ourselves, and we would just enjoy it and everything. Yeah, it's a 2-hour rental.
So I guess
No.
that stipulation is that it's on city property, city-owned property?
Arnie didn't say anything about this new state law.
And who knows how much longer, I mean,
State law.
he's
You have something to do.
not gonna have that much longer, and he's off in the Navy, so.
Get out there.
When they talk about the local sign, I can get you, or I'll go back and see what, we can.
No, he knows nothing.
Right, but I was
He'll be-
in that,
He goes in because he
on
wants
that
to go in.
committee, and yes, new state law never came up. Now, the stipulation was east of town, you can't put a new
Doing our
sign.
lever
You have to
action.
use the
And
existing
he was dead on too.
unless the
Yeah.
city owns your property.
Right.
He always has been.
Talk about that, we have to own the property to put the sign.
A few years ago,
East of town, that would be a
I
sign.
purchased
See, this person over here, they don't want
Neighbor Action.
And then we brought our M1 out.
anywhere.
Arnie's, east of that, yeah, so Arnie's found a
From World War II paratrooper.
I have my dad's,
sell it to the city.
it's a 30-06, which is basically that 1 grand bolt action.
I agree with Bill.
Five round magazine.
Yep. The Carnegie.
True. Every time we have some kind of project, I get something.
That's, he brought it back from World War II.
Yeah, that's what this one is, yeah.
But I went out and I bought a Henry octagonal barrel. That way I can carry one ammunition. Pistol direct.
We have a hand.
The thing is, the thing is that I took it out to the range one day, emptied the first 10 rounds, and it wouldn't reload so what happened was one of the, I looked around, looked at the brass, and the brass shattered, left half inch inside the chamber.
Oh,
I got out. I built slips
I need to
out of
remind Arnie that he needs to get busy on that.
Gorilla Glue on the outside.
I need to remind Arnie that he needs to get busy.
Came in with the other end of the dowel, put a chisel point on it, between the two pieces and tapped on it. I was puzzled for a long while how I was going to get that thing out of there.
Yeah, it's all about.
I'm really concerned though, because it was a brand new Winchester round, it shouldn't have shattered in the chamber.
Keyword.
But
There's
did.
only that one in however many.
By Remington, there you go.
So it's really Arnie more than anybody was really.
Yeah, you'll have to bring her out to say hello to Loki. Loki will give her run for her money. Oh, yeah, no. Oh, Loki's the same way. I mean.
This number here.
It's fine.
And who was supposed to watch?
That was mine.
That was,
Hey, we were catching the cows. Yes. Going into the pen with them and she fell over and she broke the
I was about to say, it was Katrina's fault?
She got an electric car. I got the tire.
Think that'll be okay?
Oh, my.
Oh, I see, your son, when he comes in the neighborhood.
Go get the battery replaced?
Everything wave high to him.
I did, and I'll start the,
Oh, awesome.
I don't know if you told me what time we broke, because I didn't hear.
You say we're gonna start up?
What time did we break?
3 o'clock?
Yeah, well, actually,
He's not supposed.
it was
We recessed it. How-
2:57.
See, he's like,
I looked
for
up and
you,
saw it.
like Christopher's with my dad. Oh, yeah. Christopher's spitting image of my dad. That's where he gets.
And the recording's back up, you
Oh, no, Christopher, the Hawks. That's my maiden name. The Hawks comes out and
Oh,
then,
sorry. Reconvening
Oh,
at
sorry.
3:20.
Good afternoon. So we're here for the streets budget 2020 to 2021. First off, I would like to point out, so currently our department structure is a little chaotic. One of the things that I did for this year was try to organize our street department overall. That starts with maintenance, just our planning in general, a lot of issues with that in the past, which y'all probably knows with a lot of public works. Transition with parks and with streets was sort of all bumbled together. So as of right now, it's myself, and then I have 2 buildings and grounds, 2 streets and grounds, and 1 park attendant. The way this is currently set up is overall, if something arises and we need people, we pull them. Overall, our city is short-staffed, so that's the way it's worked. Patch holes, minor tree repair, or tree work, highway, city easement mowing, street sign replacement, and street striping. The new proposed setup would be myself, and then we split, and this way we have a crew dedicated to this work. This will allow us to specialize and improve the quality of the work and not have, certain people that don't have experience doing this or aren't qualified doing the work. We really separate that. With the changes, we're really going to help out on streets overall. If there's a utility cut, usually the water department or electric, if it's underground, deal with that. We would take that over and allow for a better quality, not just because they can't do it, it's more of a better quality because my guys, this is what we do. We've started doing a lot of training with our guys. None of my guys currently have street backgrounds. So this year I've taken time for them to get some training on that. So I'll just go through a few of these. Repair baseline failures and damage caused by water and wastewater. Line breaks, that's the kind of things when we have to cut into roads. Sometimes when we're rushed, you'll see these humps in the roads. We're really going to take care of that and make sure that it's done correctly. If that's through a hot patch repair, if that's done through rolled, clean cut, pretty much just the quality. Reconstructing streets to upgrade driving surfaces and drainage, perform crack seal on streets to prevent water damage, inspect and perform necessary repairs to city sidewalks. Currently, we have no kind of repair to sidewalks. We will be looking into that. Citywide tree trimming, install and maintain street signs and pavement markings, continue with ongoing street sweeping schedule, crew leader to oversee operations, and streets and grounds workers overall, which is 3, that includes the crew leader. Any questions? Okay. So for the budget breakdown overall, one of the things that is a major change this year is that my position will be broken into streets and Parks and Recreation, where before it was just pulled out of Parks and Rec. So that is the major change you'll see on that. We move on to supplies. We increase that just for department basics. We don't really have a ton of supplies, but that goes into general pins, kind of small stuff they need in the truck or to do their job functions. I did break down chemicals. That's something that's not listed in any of my departments that we tried to break down because before it was taken out of other departments because it wasn't very clear. So I asked Leroy to create chemicals so that we'd be able to keep track of this stuff. That includes weed controls and road sealers.
$2,000 enough?
Yes, we don't do too much in the Department of Spraying with the road sealer stuff. If it's used on a project, then we usually try to encompass that into the overall street repair and maintenance per project to try to keep it all together so we can track the projects.
Yeah, Roundup and asphalt are not cheap, so.
No, yeah, but usually with us, we're not doing anything basic than the surrounding, they call it a patch sealer versus a road sealer. We use that, but it's fairly inexpensive for our stuff.
Okay, that's good.
And then glyphosate, usually, overall I'm using about, I would say 150 gallon tank in about every quarter. So split that between each of the my areas. We'll increase that too with the additional help with the spraying. Overall, utilities is the same. Telecommunications, if we were able to get the crew leader position going up, that would include an iPad to have my current senior position individual stop having to keep track of parks, building and maintenance, and streets, and have that dedicated to streets. This would also help with our work management, but also our road condition application of the iWork system. So we could update that and keep it current instead of having to go back and do it on a responsive schedule. This could be more of a preventative. Also includes, currently none of my guys have city cell phones, so they're having to use their personal. So for a crew leader position, we would use that. We've looked into radios. I know that might be a question. With the way that they do it, it's just another thing they got to keep. Sometimes those they fall off, get broken. A lot of times the guys have asked us in the past, when I first got here, everyone had a city cell phone, and the guys didn't like it because then they had to keep up with it. But I've met with my crew leader currently, and he feels like it would be better because then he can separate work and personal. So on here, down in contracted services, I took out, we had outside service and contract labor, and I took that out, and we were looking at preventative care for the streets. And I've mentioned we've had a few call-ins of buildup on the streets. That's from clippings in the roads, just storm damage, stuff getting blown in, and then also the deterioration of just the road in general, where it has little rocks build up. We've had a lot of issues with people stopping at stop signs and sliding in. I know that was an issue that the Councilman Shearhart brought up to me at an area in Country Village, but throughout the whole city. And right now, my guys, we can go out there we have a broom, but that doesn't pick it up, it just moves it. And we try to clean that up, but currently we can't keep up with it. But this is something that a lot of cities, even like our neighbor Hondo, they do street sweeping schedules. We don't have anything, so this is something I wanted to add in and try out. Y'all probably seen the street sweeper throughout the city. I've been doing it in small bursts and asking the public if they've seen any improvements. We have seen on a lot of roadways that it currently, there's two different kinds. There's a street sweeper and there's a vacuum truck. With those combined, it does a great job picking up the debris and also getting the rocks and buildup off the road, which help with the deterioration, because if there's rocks there, they grind in, causes more deterioration.
So this $20,000 would be for all the streets in town? Or a certain list?
That is our starting point. Some streets, a lot of the main thoroughfares, which would be our long streets, they don't have as much for some reason. The side streets, some of the parts on the far side of 90 seem to have more buildup than other roads. So really I broke that down, and I just wanted to see, it could possibly be more, and I might need to come to council with an adjustment to see, but really we just wanted to see as a number. Right now I did this current year we did about $6,000 worth of street sweeping, and that did roughly, I would say, a little over half of this part of town. Just a quick run over. It's not going to be, so we're going to try to see on a schedule. It's hard to pick because when they come out, they say they can do so much, but they're not going to do it halfway. So it's sort of hard to gauge. So this is just a number that I asked Leroy if we could put in and just see where that gets us, and go from there.
That's the 20,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would say that a lot of the rock that builds up on the streets is the aftermath of the chip seal program too. There's been a whole lot of gravel just floating around out there right after that chip seal project was done.
Yes, sir. And I've looked into that in the aspect of a seal coat. They do recommend that we, which you might see, I have a couple roads I've marked this year. We come in with a street sweeper, and then we seal coat it, and that pretty much just glues everything back down. It's a very inexpensive kind of operation thing. It's basically what they do when they finish a chip seal. We use, the current company I'm using is one of the highest grades of oil that you can get for compacting, and it has up to a 5-year lifespan for that. So there's a few roads in town, if y'all would like to see, I can take you out there and just show where rocks before you'd be able to just pull off and now, are pretty super glued almost down. So that's what we're going to be looking at to help with that control.
Good.
Other than that, in here again, once again, I put travel or training. That I would really like to utilize this year. I haven't used much of that. I think only about $800 or $900. But I would like to really, if I get a crew leader, get him trained on this stuff, really get him
more specialized in streets, which I don't think we've had a maintenance worker that's been specialized. So equipment repair and maintenance, I highlighted the things in blue that were lowering. So that one I lowered. We don't have too much in the equipment side. Mostly it's just small tools and stuff, and it's fairly inexpensive to fix. So I lowered that. Equipment purchases, also lowered. Street repair and maintenance, that one I lowered down too, because of the fact that we haven't been doing much maintenance. And then I increased additional personnel for safety equipment. Street and drainage, and for this one, I know that you're going to have a few questions. If we can hold off till we get to the capital outlay, I can explain that a little better. We can bounce back. But that one we lowered to $60,000. What that money is really for is for drainage projects, small stuff, or if we have any county-related projects, that usually that money goes towards that. It's more of a unspecified area project number. Traffic control, we raised because stop signs we seem to go through quite a bit faster than the street signs. We have been replacing them pretty rapidly. I mean, I use that up as soon as I get it, and we've been replacing those. We should be doing an order once third quarter gets released on how we're doing, and then we'll start replacing those again. So this is going to be where some questions pop up. So on the capital outlay, I added a few things that I felt like made more sense, a little bit more direction, a little bit more ironed out. Before, in the past, they just dedicated $400,000 to the repair and maintenance for the roads and didn't really specify what that was going to be used for. So if you roll over to your next page, you can see in our street program 20 to 21, it explains and lays out there exactly what's going to be done for the roads. It shows this is based on the area standard. Oh, the next one, sorry, Leroy. The area standard on the cost of the repairs. We had a road assessment update. I believe 4 years ago, iWorks came out and did one, and we just had them come out and pretty much just update what we currently had. So what this is a layout of, at the end of next year, all of this will be done. I felt like this was a manageable project load. As y'all are aware, with my departments, with it being split between contractors and then preventative maintenance, it gets a little chaotic. So with this, I presented this to Leroy as something that'd be manageable on a project standpoint, that I could keep the consistency of the quality up. So on here, as you can see, Petersburg to San Jacinto, this is based on, this assessment was done on the condition of the road. If you go all the way over to the right, it says current RSL rating. Our ratings go from 0 to 10. 0 is absolute failure, needing to be done. And these two on the bottom, I actually added those in because we have had continuous complaints from the public on those needing to be done. There is more roads that we have in my capital improvement plan. I didn't get a chance to share it with you. I went into the 3-year plan where we addressed pretty much over $750,000 worth of work that needed to be done. This is just for next year. So at the end of the year, this is what will be done. Is there any questions with this?
So are we missing any on these that you guys know of that you feel are critical?
Well, zeros look pretty critical.
Yeah. Well, I think that he's done, he spent some time with me to dig into this a little bit more. The way that they're approaching this is really, really methodical. I like the way that he's looking at it from current RSL, the way that they're tracking this, and the way that he's breaking it out by saying, instead of saying this is our overall budget and then what do we want to spend it on, he's already set out the plan. And so at the end of the year, to your point, it is making sure that those things are accomplished individually, and that way we know what our plan is year by year by year. And you were saying that it was a 3-year plan that would handle pretty much all of our major reconstruction items, and then beyond that, it's primarily just maintenance.
Yeah, so with the deterioration, what we're able to do in 3 years is we will address all of the failures that we have. We will bring everything up to the point of barely passing, per se. We really don't have major deteriorations. The company that came in, iWorks, which does this all over the nation, said our roads look pretty good. There is some that are zeros, as you can see, but ours in comparison is manageable. With that being said, within 3 years, we will address all of the major roads. Like the Lower Lacoste Road that we have, that one's a much larger project, and I can go into that more whenever I bring our update of what was done on our iWorks assessment. That'll be another council agenda. We've been a little pushed and behind with COVID, but with that, this I feel like is a addressable. This is just going to be what contract work will be done. So at the end of next year, all of this will be done, approved, of course, with budget.
And I'll make sure y'all get the slide where you can see it, because it's hard to look at on this part, and
Devin,
I'll
is
send
this-
you out this program.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is this stuff that you want to do yourself, or we're going to contract
No,
out?
this is contract work.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to have it laid out because, it's when I came into this position, it was sort of hard to see what the plan was. Since I've been here, it's been very hard to just shut roads down. So by doing this, I can move into the next step, which would be scheduling this out with contractors after we go through the bid process, and then planning it with the general public, because we have to shut down streets. And because this is rebuild, thick overlay. This isn't, day and a half it's done. We're redoing
It's
these
not a chip
roads.
seal.
Yeah, and so by doing this, it allows us to move on with the next step of communicating with the public, and which I felt like it was very hard for me to plan that stuff out. So that's why we wanted to present it like this, was to make it a little bit more transparent too, for, not to say that there's not roads that aren't going to come up that we need to deal with, but this is just so that, if your constituents ask you what's being done, or on the city website, we can have this posted, and, they can be informed and aware.
I like the idea of posting that on the website with progress, estimated time to begin it, so that people can start planning that out. They know if they're going to be around there, that you'll be reaching out, and that way we can.
To park their vehicles other places and stuff like that.
Right.
Because a lot of people, I'll tell you, in the River Bluff area, there's a lot of people that have multiple vehicles, and they park their vehicles on the street. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
So I have to park my truck in my lot, so.
I guess the only thing that I guess I could say I'm disappointed in, and I know we're probably going to struggle with budget constraints, but we've earmarked money in this thing for 2 years since I've been here, and we've never spent it all, and we've stopped projects and things like that. I'd like to see the number, I guess, a little bigger, or, some more projects to add to that number, and if we had to knock some out at a later time because of budget constraints, we could. I don't know. What do y'all think about that?
Years on there as well? Did you include that?
What was that?
You had the 3-year plan, do you have that in?
I actually don't have that in front of me. But yes, we can add, with this plan, I can literally go through here and just lay it all out. You want to do $300,000, I can do that. One of the reasons I've tried to not do that is because in the past, then it's just me. And, you know, I'm not saying, because in the past, you know, when it was, you know, Larry and I've talked to the contractors and stuff, I mean, our quality of work was never checked. It was just do. And,
Exactly.
you know, that's what I tried to prevent. And I'm not saying next year, if when I come back, it's $400,000 and I say, you know what, I figured out the secret to this. And we do that. I just felt like, and I told Leroy, because he noticed, you know, why is there such a jump or a degress in the amount of money? And that's
Right.
because it's just, in the at least what I've seen, I know the years before, and then when I got streets, it was just so much on the plate that we weren't able to deal with everything with the quality that I feel like I'm sure y'all hear about. Well, we just did this. Why? Or, you know, I've gotten a call. Miss Martinez called me. We did a pothole repair, and in a month and a half we're back. And that's the kind of things I'm trying to address is the quality of it, because there's no reason for us to not do it correctly the first time.
Right.
So I think after this year with, you know, getting some of these out of the way, I could see us coming back next year with, you know, a larger list. But that's one of the reasons why I, you know, tried to stay away from, you know, $500,000 worth of work. Plus, it's also not very conscious of coming back after this COVID.
Well,
And Todd is saying the same thing I've been saying since I got elected into this seat is, okay, we've had projects approved, money earmarked against it. Either get started, one phase is done, the next thing, oh, hold, and everything disappears. We don't want to fall into that niche. We need to stay out of that niche. That's
well,
why,
sometimes the cheapest bid ain't the best bid,
right.
you know? And so I would also like to see if we had any local contractors that are qualified to do this type of work have an opportunity. I would really look at it hard again after looking at it, you know, on, I guess the first year that I was on the council, and it was already, the process was kind of already started before, as we took office, and hindsight's always 20/20, but I wish we'd have killed that one too.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
because we didn't know the contractor and we got poor workmanship.
Well, definitely, that is something, I mean, I've tried to reach out to previous contractors, previous people in the community that have had this information and try to compile that too. I know I've reached out to Leroy a few times, and I believe Deborah has pointed me in the right direction of who to talk to, but that's been an issue, is the quality and then who's been doing it, and so I've tried to figure that out, because when I first came in here, streets was just there. Okay, here's $400,000, call a contractor, let's build a bid, and that's what we want to get away from, and, you know, get the quality of work the citizens are requesting and expect.
I agree.
Well, in the bid process too, there is language in there for the council. It doesn't necessarily have to be the low bid. It's the quality, you know.
You typically throw out the lowest and the highest and.
Well,
find
not
something
necessarily that, but I mean, there's some language in there to where if you feel like the person that maybe didn't bid the lowest
Well, and
does a better quality for the city, you know, you can choose.
one of the things that I feel like I would like to consider too, or us as a council, is when we're looking at bid process, that, you know, most of the time, it's not 100%, but as a general rule, these local guys, they're gonna do you a good job because they live in the community. They don't wanna hear that they've done a sorry job for the city of Castroville. So I would love to see them have an opportunity, at least, you know, versus some guy from out of state, some person from out of state that comes in and gets the job awarded to him, and we don't know, you know, when he's done with the job, he's back in out of state, you know. It's no sweat off of him if he does a poor job, in my opinion. So,
Well, hopefully the local people will bid.
yeah,
I
hopefully
mean, you know,
so.
that's always,
Hopefully.
You mentioned rebuild / thick overlay. What does that mean?
What this is really, it's a complete rip out of everything there. It's not like a chip seal thing where they come in and they just take off the top layer and then they maintain it and then they re-put everything on top. This is a complete rebuild where they rip down and get all the way to the base level and rebuild the roads. That is why, I mean, if you look at those numbers, it's significantly higher than,
So it's not an overlay,
no,
it's a rebuild.
it's a rebuild.
Okay,
So
these
it
are
gets,
rebuilt streets
yeah,
to the base
it,
material.
yes, so it's, I mean, this would be, when they look at a rating of a street, this is the most severe level of rebuilding streets. This is what will give you, if you have some kind of preventative maintenance plan, 20 years out of that life of that street. This is what, that's why it's so expensive. I mean, you're only doing, I think like 9,000 square yards, and you're looking at, you know, $180,000. So, I mean, it's,
These are the numbers that you've been given as an estimate of what a rebuilding the streets would cost.
this is based on, what iWorks does is they integrate in a surrounding areas based percentage of work. So they go out, and we can go in there and edit based on if we have a contractor that works, so I can give you exact numbers. But, you know, to be safe, I added in there about $13,000 plus or minus, just so we rounded up to a solid number also of $190,000. But this is based on, you know, area costs. And I called around, and I mean, it's right on. It's actually a little higher than some of the quotes I've seen in open records.
But
But
some of the things that came up when this was talked about in depth 4 years ago with city council was they were advising us before we went and rebuilt streets that we made sure that we weren't going to be doing any new utilities under the streets, sewage or water. Don't have electrical underground in most of the city, but so in these streets that you pick, there's no underground utilities that
So-
are on the.
with this, I've communicated a while back with John, and we would focus on, of course, we're not going to be worried about River Bluff or Country Village because of those current setup. I don't think those are an issue over there. We're not focused on those in the long run, but the other stuff, yes, we would look and see if the scoping needed to be done, and we'd adjust so that we weren't having to redo this a few years back.
Doing it backwards.
Yes,
Get a
because,
scope before you do any work.
yes,
So
yes.
part of this list of streets, you're looking at utilities. And then, yeah, I guess to me, this needs to be, before you dig into this heavy, which I'm sure you'll bring up, this 3-year plan of yours. So we can look
Yes.
at your 3-year plan, you can tell us if
Yeah.
there is utilities before we even get to that meeting. And then also how you all are planning to, you're gonna, yeah, I'm just a little uncomfortable not getting a better idea of what's going on. But as you realize, it's my profession, so I'm more.
Yes,
concerned
and,
about
and I
that.
understand, and, you know, with 80% of the road work that's been done over the last few years, they never checked, and that's something that when John came in here and with the televising, and, I mean, it's just one of those things, if we want to be extra careful and not having to deal with this 2 years down the road, it's what we're going to have to do. But I feel like even with these projects and the amount of time, I mean, we could start at the beginning of the year and still be right on schedule with all the road work. I mean, that's why I chose, you know, these roads. It would be, like I said again, manageable. It's not some unknown number where I'm going to be pushing and I'm going to come to y'all and say, you know, we're not going to get this done. I feel like this is something that is realistic and, you know, doesn't push our department to its.
At least in my mind, you all are giving us numbers, but we're gonna have to pick things out of your list, your Christmas list, based on what our revenues are. So we need to look at these versus revenues, and unless you all are already done it, said, oh man, no, it's no problem at all. But somewhere, anytime you do budget, you look at expenditures in one hand and you look at revenues on the other, and so far we haven't seen the revenues.
Well, yes. So to the other capital improvement items, this isn't a question. I mean, this comes first overall. The work to the main parts of the streets, the disrepair. If that's what you're referring to, like the list.
This would take priority, is what you're saying?
Yes. So if you go back to the capital improvements, to the left. One more. So on here, the one thing I heard in the CIP workshop before is y'all wanted it 1, 2, and 3, what we would want to get done. The street program is not a question. That's something we need to get done. These are base failures already on streets, and technically they're not supposed to get any worse, but they are. So based on that, I rated a few items that we would need. One of the main things that, we really need in our department is we don't have any backup equipment. And like trucks, my dump truck is in the shop right now. We're having work done on our other streets truck. I'm having to take a truck from Parks to have them do it and have a guy on a mower or on a gator getting around because we just don't have vehicles. And we've looked at, trying to make things work, but so that's why on here I put the number 1 item would be, trying to get a streets truck. This is just a basic truck that we could have to get equipment around, pull a trailer with a small load on it, and continue operations without having to stall or borrow from another department. On there too, preventative care, I put the crack seal machine. Currently, we're not doing anything in-house for preventative care. We have quite a few things that we could look at. This is one thing with reaching out to local cities on what they currently do in-house. This is an item that, to be honest, David and Issa just bought a very small version of this, and they've started doing it at the airport, and it looks great. It looks just like the quality, and this is something that we could do in-house. It's about $1.50 a square foot with a contractor, so it doesn't take long to get expensive, and it's something that we could do quickly. What this does, it prevents when cracks start in the streets, like I've said before, and I'm going to go into detail too much, but it prevents water from getting in there, and water is a main thing that really starts to screw up our roads and is the quickest way to end the life of the road prematurely. And then the last thing on here is a chipper. And that's one thing really would help us out tremendously is if we're able to hook a chipper up to our dump truck when we have storm damage come in. I speak with the county a lot, and there's times they can't get out here. We just have to push it over because we don't have time. But a chipper would help us tremendously because you just cut it up, and this is a chipper that's rated for, I think it's like a 2.5 to 3 inch limb, which is standard size, and just shoot it right in the back of the dump truck. Go. We could help increase our or decrease our labor overall, and also it saves us on disposal when I almost said TDA, that they're not here. Waste management. They charge us $800 a roll-off, and we aren't using the capability of crushing that stuff down or shredding it or anything. So by doing this, we could, I can't give you figures, but we could extend, either reuse the chippings in the park or people in the area. A lot of people reach out, I don't know about farms, but communities, people want chippings, and that's something that we could do. And so that's one of the things I added on there, 1, 2, and 3, and that would be based on our revenues, what we would want. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm going to back you up a little bit. You were talking about the rebuilds, and I wasn't clear on whether or not that included base.
Yes.
You're going to come in with 6 inches or 8 inches?
Well, it's to the point of the...
the reason I ask is I know that many of the streets in River Bluff were not built on base. They were built on graded dirt.
Well, my basic understanding of what would be done on this rating would be go to the point of where the road could be rebuilt safely. So it would be going down to, on some roads, all the chip seals, all the caved in, whatever, and get to the very bottom and rebuild correctly.
So you could be looking at 8 inches or 10 inches of rebuild in some of those.
On the severity, I guess, yes, it would depend on the severity of the road.
Especially River Trail goes
Or how much
downhill.
grace is there?
Yes.
No, there is no base there.
There isn't.
Yeah.
No base there?
No.
Well, so that would be something we would look at. Of course, if it's more expensive, we would look into, the drainage or the street money that we left in there for material.
This is a lot like a remodel. You really don't know what you're getting into until you start taking it
Yeah.
apart.
The
But I
only
mean,
godsend is the utilities are on the side in the people's yards, so if the water might break or something,
Right.
yeah, it tears up our yards, it doesn't tear up the
Yeah.
streets.
So if we needed 10, 15 feet, I'd probably be coming to y'all with things, but I mean, then we would be dealing with the issue and trying to fix the problem
Okay.
that's there. I mean,
I think
it's not going
that
anywhere.
has been probably the hurdle that hasn't been crossed all these years, is the fact that it's going to be a major rebuild.
I would be tickled that we do something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I know on there, tumbleweed is one of the items in question. That road was done early 2018, and it was just chip sealed over the top. And just by the way they did it, it created a huge drainage channel into one neighbor's resident's house. And he can't even park there because, it holds a few inches of water. So we would be getting down, and that one's a rebuild, and I actually edited it and lowered the rating so that it needs to be rebuilt because the drainage needs to be pushed, because right now it goes like this where it's supposed to be going like this. So, I will make sure that these roads are done correctly. And that's one of the reasons why I lowered the price on the works, to make sure for quality control. And I've even talked to Leroy about going and getting, I don't know if there's licenses, but more classes to inspect the roads to make sure that, which I mean, we have engineers to do some of that, but just to make sure I'm catching everything that's going through the quality control.
Do we need to up our engineering services for, when I think about rebuilding some of the streets, also with some of the new homes that are coming out here, do we need to up the budget for the city engineer to go out and do some of those inspections?
I have some of that in mind.
Next.
Now, as far as the wood chipper, we're on the same path. Maybe we could even see about selling it to citizens
Yeah, and a few
as
city.
another little
Yeah,
form of.
I have worked in cities before where they did that, especially after the Christmas tree chippings. A lot of people love
Oh, yeah.
those just because they're great, and that could be something whenever for our future projects. I mean, it's great for the citizens, but also great, not just selfishly for parks, because I'm over that too, but also just in disposal in general. I've talked to Chris Cox, and he says it's great for them because they'll repurpose it. They can do that, and it's just easier on my people, it's easier on them, and then also it's good for the environment, so it's a win-win-win.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that the county, after a major rainstorm, it hits the county a while it come out. What did that comment?
Well, the county has a chipper, and I reached out to them and asked them, based on their experience in the area, was it beneficial, that kind of thing. And, one of the things he says is it's great for storms because it's easy, you can get around, get everything done. And he says, if y'all had one, then it would help us be able to not have to worry so quickly to get over here so they could help out other areas of the county. But then also, it would give us the ability to deal with our storm damage without having to push it aside.
So do they come in, have in the past?
They have.
Come in with their chipper and help the city of Castro?
They have, yeah. They'll help us any way possible. We've healed that relationship, so.
That's good.
So this isn't for everyday use, which they could come and do, it's for when the big storms come?
Well, I would say it's for day use too. We have a ton of tree trimming. I mean, my guys, once we're caught up and it's hot right now, we're doing tree trimming, and I don't know if y'all been by London lot, we clean that all up, but we would have, 8 foot high by, 60, 80 feet of tree trimming just from 1 week. And it's just because we have so much. And, that's just trying to raise up the canopies so that we can accommodate, our garbage trucks, but then also just, we have a ton of areas where you can't see around corners, and, all of that stuff falls underneath us. I mean, approved by citizens.
So how are we looking at the interlocal agreement with the county in terms of the streets? Is that included in this, or are we looking at them for other stuff?
It's hard to budget. The way that the relationship works with them is really their foreman will contact me and just let me know, hey, you know, our schedule's looking really full. Is there anything, you know, if y'all needed help with, or if I see a project that's outside of our scope or outside of our budget, I'll sometimes reach out to them and see if there's something they can do for us. It's really hard to budget a number because, I mean, they could be swamped or they could be shorthanded, or, you know, or vice versa. So, I mean, I budgeted $50,000 in our streets and drainage for potential projects where we could, 60,000, where we could use some of that money for a project that could come up. So, but really, it's hard to budget. And with the county work, usually it would have to be a less traveled road, just because first, I mean, their projects come up first and emergencies, and as y'all know with Alsace Avenue, we could be on it and then be off for a week and a half. And so it's a give and take. We have to understand that too, is that stuff comes up, and, you know, so it's a little hard for me to budget a internal city road, because then we're at their discretion. So, does that make sense?
Take care of their own business first. Make sense?
Yep.
Reprioritize daily.
Any other questions with that? And then the next page is just a picture of what I'm envisioning for the equipment. And then on here, streets program, why do we need one? With the help of a lot of citizens in the community, past people that have worked with the city, we needed to get a street program. I've been out to Hondo and tried to meet with them. They're super busy doing the exact same thing we're doing. We're actually a little bit ahead of them, not trying to put it in their faces, but our street assessment was done through iWorks, which they're implementing their system into iWorks right now. So we're ahead of them in that fashion. But, you know, I'm trying to focus this off of my connections in other cities. They're a little bigger than us, but really getting down to the nitty-gritty of building up a preventative and a quality control on stuff we do currently, our patchwork, our utility cuts and stuff like that. So that's what I try to do. But on here, by creating a street program, we are investing more money into our city without the use of contractors. By adding additional programs such as crack seal, which is currently done by contractors, we will be able to improve the streets on a more regulated schedule, which will allow us to control preventative maintenance in the city. How will a crew leader street program work for us? A crew leader street department will allow for a safer and more productive workforce. A crew leader will benefit the streets department greatly, allowing for a full crew at all times. One of the main issues and why this is, I feel like, really important for us to get to is the ability for me not to have to pull from one area to cover another area, but then also we're able to meet a lot of safety parameters. We don't currently have a 3-man crew, so if I have 2 guys on a road, one guy driving and the other one doing the work that's in front, like with the backhoe or whatever, we don't have a safety person, a flagger, any kind of ability to protect our employees. So this will allow us to really run a full crew. So that's...
So you're asking for an additional employee as a crew leader?
I currently have 2 guys. I'm just asking for a crew leader position. So a new position that would be a crew leader position that would oversee those 2 guys, make sure we stay on the path, and then also would make the whole crew 3-men.
That would get their hands dirty too.
Yes.
Not
This isn't a supervisory position.
Right,
This
I'm
is
just-
yes.
right now,
Yes,
because
this position would allow us with the truck. That the reason I asked for another truck is not so a guy can just, you know, check up on things. No, that's so if something comes up, they don't have to pick everything up and go, or leave a guy stranded, which we have been doing, to go, you know, back and forth. So it's more of a, you know, a team effort still, but also spread out.
Right.
Upgrade, yeah. Any questions? The streets one's sort of It's not so fun to do.
No, that's great.
No, we need to make this progress. I really do.
I like the care and attention that you put into this. It's very well thought out, and just looking forward to actually going into action.
It'll be nice to be able to come to y'all with a progress report next budget
Yes.
cycle and say, look at all the stuff we've done, have pictures, and the public be happy. And so we're getting there. All right. So this is budget for 2021 Parks Rule. I combined it to everything. I'll try to go through it quick. 2019, 2020, we survived COVID. These are just our goals and accomplishments. Microsoft grant, Parks Master Plan. I am so excited for this. I'm really hoping to have more information for y'all. We've really tried to not emphasize too much on this project because of COVID. That was a request from Microsoft, but also my friends at the park. We wanted, people to focus on what's important right now, and we'll get to the fun stuff once this is over. Other things we've done, remodeled the rec hall, just really updated it, painted it, tried to make it a little cleaner and nicer for people that are coming to stay there. Phase 1 of the new memorial trees irrigation installation. On here we have a parks tree fund. So what we've done is there's a lot of people in the community that want to donate to the trees. So they donate the tree, we plant it, and then we get irrigation to it. So this year we planted 3 new trees and irrigation to those to make sure that they don't just die away. That's fresh water, not effluent water. Kiosk renovation and sign replacement. We've started ordering some new signs for the park, informational signs, just to help people know what's going on and also keep them informed. Kiosk renovations, we just sanded down the current kiosks. We are going to do a stone base on those and then keep the wooden top ones because they're in great shape, and we do appreciate that people, Boy Scouts and whatnot, took the time to do it. It's just by going with stone we can prevent the deterioration of the water and the soil and whatnot. So the Friends of Cashinville Regional Park did the Botanical Garden Trail entrance, the street entrance. That's when you first enter the park and you look over. It's beautiful. I wish I would have gotten a picture afterthought now, but if you ever want to come down there, they did a great job with that. We are finished. Had one guy out for testing and some other items, so we didn't have the chance to finish the ramp, which I was hoping would be done by today. So we will be doing that in the last few days, or next few days to next week. And what that'll do is then we can call out and get it certified ADA compliant. So that's the only thing left to do. But with that, we have to do some street repair also. So it's been a little delayed. The project overall is done on the Friends side. Park office renovations, what we did is that office, we repainted it, redid the flooring, and then put up a wall. So now I have an office there, not out of Public Works anymore. So then I'm on site, which was a request through my the Friends of the Park, and then also park people in general, so I can be on site for issues and whatnot. One of the main things we did for the pool was change out the sand to glass. What that does is it's actually a whole micro millionth of a particle better at cleaning. It's over time it gets worn out sand wise, and it doesn't really clean the pool the way that we want. So we changed this out. You get roughly about 10 years out of this. So it was just something that needed to be done.
And there's COVID out there, so.
What was that?
And there's COVID out there.
Yes, and it's a good thing to do overall. You always to know your pool is clean. So accomplishments and goals for this year: unifying the parks, pools, RV reservation system, phone answering system. With that kind of thing, what we want to do, this is sort of something I'll go into a little bit more later, is really make it easier for us to keep up with our records, also increase our reservations by accessibility, and then also really taking off the burden off of City Hall on how to collect that. RV site renovations, repairs, Parks Master Plan, of course, starting it, and the fun stuff. Additional rock border around the park. This includes parking lots and other areas, where we don't want people driving and possibly tearing things up. Completion of the lower parking lot we currently have with the county's help. This is a project that out of the blue, do you want us to come in there and blade it and then put in some rock? So I would like to plan to get this actually finished. Renovations to Lions Park softball field. We haven't had any work done to the infield while I've worked here. My background is in sports field management, so I'd like to go in there and actually get that usable where people would actually really pay money to use it, ideally. Updating the fee schedule is something that Leroy and I are working on right now, and of course, when budget comes up for that, we'll go over that. Upper parking lot restorations, there was some changes in history. I found out that they piled up a bunch of debris and stuff over there, so I'm going to get in there and get that back to the way it used to be, and get more parking out of that, because they cut into our parking whenever they piled up pretty much just trash and debris. So moving into the department structure, same thing I just went through with the streets and parks. As you can see right now, currently everyone's a catch-all. Anything that needs to be done, unfortunately, if you know, another Blue was out last Monday, my guys got to go pick up dead deer off the highway. Just nature of the beast. We help out where we can. So by breaking this up, I allow my streets guys to focus on street stuff, and I have my parks guys focus on buildings, grounds, parks, special events, facility maintenance, and all that. It also allows me to make schedules so that we can keep up with filters for the buildings, maintenance of the grounds, inspections of different areas. It's just a little easier and cleaner to look at also. So for budget breakdown, on here, for the salary, all it really happened was the splitting of my position. And then for this one, it was an allocated person. For some reason, we had a position that, I forget what it was just in the wrong spot on paper. So what it happens is I got split over into one department, so now we'll have a crew leader and then 2 maintenance workers, right? Well, it's 1 maintenance worker and 1 park attendant. So moving on to supplies. So I have another chemical thing on here. It's what I mentioned earlier.
Backing up to the salary, okay, so it's, you want to hire a new full-time person in the Parks and Recreation Department also. So you want to add 1 to streets and you want to add another one to the Parks and Recreation, correct?
So it's a little confusing. I'm still trying to figure out myself. So I'm in parks. I have a park attendant and I have a parks maintenance worker and another parks maintenance worker in my budget. And then,
So it's 3 full-time employees and then half the salary. So it's like
yes,
Go back to that slide real quick.
picked up on the street side.
Go back to that slide.
Go back to this one.
There you go.
yes. So it's sort of confusing myself also. We're adding 1 position. It was just the allocation of my salary, and then for some reason, it was just a funny little number thing. We might have to do an adjustment this year. It was just 1 person got stuck on one side, and then mid-year we reallocated the number correctly. I'm scratching my head too, because
So the only new position you're asking for is
it's
on
a
the streets?
streets crew leader, correct?
So
Where-
this statement here that says includes a new full-time salaried streets crew leader, but now that's in the park, is that just a typo? Or what's that mean?
Because you have that listed underneath Parks and Rec too.
Well, it would be a title change. I have a guy that's been here longer. That's why I was confused. It's a new,
Position. It's a title change with an increase in salary is what it is. It's not a new position.
In what area?
In
Parks.
the parks.
We're showing street.
I'm sorry, it's parks.
This says includes a new full-time salaried street crew leader.
Right. And that was in streets. That was what was in
yes.
streets.
So that's someone we,
Also put that in parks.
so
The
the
streets, the streets crew leader will come out of the streets. That's 1 allocation that's in there. And then the other one is the actual crew leader for parks, which is, it's just a title change for a person with an increase in salary.
Okay, so under the Parks and Rec, it should just say Parks crew leader.
You can certainly take that out, yes. It doesn't really belong here. That one belongs under streets, not under.
So it looks like somebody copied and pasted,
Correct.
then it changed
That really-
verbiage.
that part should come out of 11C, it's not in here.
Never done that
So
myself.
how many employees do you have now currently in parks?
Parks,
You have a
4.
part-time student, or the part-time
3.5.
employee?
3.
It's
I have a vacancy, so that's why I'm a little backwards right now. But it's the park attendant,
And
buildings
who
and
is the
grounds.
Park attendant?
That's a vacant position.
Okay, that was where you said they stay in the trailer and they would help out, that was.
No, that,
That was a park host.
yeah,
Who
no,
used to be the
park,
park superintendent that you're talking about? Who used to be, had that position?
Who did you lose there in that vacancy?
this vacancy, he was let go. It was another,
Well, you said it was a vacancy, so who used to have that position?
it was Ricky Gonzalez.
It was another gentleman out of Public Works. It wasn't JR who you're thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, the structure that it was before, that,
You're getting back up.
The vacancy that he's talking about, it was a park attendant. He was a full-timer. We got rid of it, and right now he has a temporary person in there, but that's the vacancy that is vacant right now. Other than that, he doesn't have a vacancy in the park department. So he'll have 3 full-timers and then half of his salary on the salary account that he's presenting.
Okay, so the verbiage should read, includes new position,
I don't have that.
not new employee, but a new position
For
that
the-
you're gonna bump someone up into.
On the park side, that's not, is this a title change?
Well, title
Yeah,
change,
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
that's what it should read.
Correct, yes, it is.
It should read a new titled position that you're already gonna utilize one of your existing 3 to fill.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. So overall, it's only one new allocation for the entire
Okay.
department.
So
But
when
right-
all this is done, you will have 3 employees watching the parks. You'll have a crew leader and 2
Correct.
additional people. And is one of those additional people the young boy that you have working
He,
out there
he is
now?
a temporary person.
So
Um,
that position will go away.
No, that position will still be there. We will hire a full-time person.
Permanent.
We
So you'll
currently
have
used
3.5 people then.
3.5?
No,
Or is he
no,
gonna have to
no, he
yourself?
will not be the reason I went with him was because we were having a hard time filling that position, and we were just wanting something to get through summer, something quick. So we decided, let's do a part-time position, see if we can get someone in there, see how that works, and we'll go from there. So he ends at summer. It's a student.
Yeah, he
and
goes
he'll-
back to college in San Angelo.
Yes,
away.
yes, and then we would hire a park attendant.
So right now, today, you have that student
Mhm.
and 2 other people right now
Yes,
today.
correct.
And the idea is you want that when the student goes away, he'll be going away, so he'll be picking up a full-time position.
Correct.
Okay, now I understand.
Mr. King, that position's already allocated in the current budget right now for full-time.
Right,
Right.
but I was just
Yeah.
looking at people.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. You.
Sorry for the confusion. With y'all's paper, I was like, I don't know what y'all are reading off of. So,
It's right here.
yeah,
And you
I didn't
got
get
it.
that one.
Yes, you did, by email. I share it with you and everybody else.
Okay, go on.
Oh, yeah, I don't have it? Yeah, the tune changed. All right, so I added in here chemicals, specified allocation. I just wanted to have that so then it's easier to track. Sort of the same thing with streets. Throughout my budget, streets would cover parks, parks would cover streets. I'm trying to get away from that so it's a little bit more clear on the money that's being spent. More information for the public. We've had a request for the handouts. A lot of people like those. Electronic, we have a little scanner at the park where people can scan and it brings up the electronic versions, but also people want to come in and just hold something and look through it. So we want to be able to provide more of those. Uniform expenses went up because of correct allocations. For some reason, this year, more more uniform expenses were pulled out of that, so we're trying to get away from that and trying to just clean up finance side of it. Moving down, travel and training per diem. It was actually the same for this year whenever I presented it to council, but since we had COVID, we haven't used much. But license renewals, I have 4 licenses I have to renew and really behind on with my CEUs, so it's just going in trainings and whatnot. I guess it's the same one on the next one. So on the technology, I had talked about it earlier, the reservation system software. That's something that I have spread out between my 3 departments, park, pool, and RV. Basically what it is, we looked at using a free reservation system thing, and it was a nightmare. It hasn't worked out for us. This one is roughly $4,500. And it's exactly that amount. And what that does is it is everything to do with any of our reservation stuff that's done through City Hall is all online and also in a phone system. So the way that breaks down, do you mind if I jump forward a few slides just to explain it? So if you move forward to slide number 12, Leroy. So our current reservation system, customer calls in, they call the pool. Well, if they call City Hall and they want to talk about the pool, they forward them to the pool. That's just for the membership and some general questions. City Hall handles our reservations, our informations, our department transfers. If they need to talk to, me or need to have questions about the RV park or the pool, registrations, and then data collection. What I'm proposing with this system is basically that burden gets taken off of City Hall and now is in a more accessible format. We have been tracking a lot of information through the people that are currently using our online reservation, and then also I sent out a survey to technically everyone that's been coming through, and a lot of people want an online version. So what this does is it is a service that handles all of it, and that's something that's integrated through our city website already. It's another section of their company. This basically handles all of that, and then we would be looking into a phone system to answer the on-call so that people can speak to someone. So that would be, they call in and they have questions. Okay, press 1 for parks, press 2 for RV, press 3 for whatever. I tell the hours, and if it says, I have a general question, it would transfer it to myself. So basically, we're just allowing, freeing up time for City Hall, and then also helping with the pretty much unifying all of our systems. Any questions with that?
And it's $4,500, but you have $1,500 listed.
Yes, it's split between 3 departments because all 3 of those utilize that, and it would be.
And how does the streets department utilize?
Not streets. It's streets. It doesn't have anything to do with
not streets.
Yeah, parks,
and pool.
Pool, and RV. They're all separate budgets.
Oh, okay. So the parks is written to the picnic tables. The pool is you're going to use the pool in the summertime, and the RV is for the RV. Okay.
Yeah. So we split it 3 ways because all of them sort of have their time when it uses it. So this also encompasses all of recreation. So any of our leagues, anything like that, and it allows us to, we approved that. I'll be bringing something to council to show y'all how that all works too. So,
and I think that we'll get a lot better results once we get out of COVID I keep saying, once we get out of this, we're setting this up now for once we get out of it. One of the complaints that I've heard in the past is it's so much paperwork, so much hassle. Why aren't we getting more rentals of the little pavilions and the, even for kind of like what Pat does with the backyard concert, renting the
amphitheater.
The amphitheater, right. And what I've heard from everybody is it's just really, really tough to do. Setting it up like this makes it very straightforward, very easy, takes the burden off of the city staff in doing that.
Yeah.
I think we'll actually see a lot more revenue coming out of that.
Yeah, it's it's very, very crazy. Leroy, if you'll go to the next slide and then we'll backtrack. This is sort of a breakdown of time. I know we like to see what we're spending on stuff. So if you look at this overall facility reservation process, if you just, which we are definitely using more than 3 hours per week for reservations when we're not in COVID. If you get the hourly rate of $15, you're looking at $2,300 a year spent just on that. And it breaks down in all the different areas. And overall, just the baseline numbers on this, I mean, even with their algorithms and all their information they have saying that, you know, they on average see a 15% increase in reservations by the accessibility that this system offers. It's also 24 hours, someone being able to rent stuff. I mean, I'm sure all of us have tried to rent something. If something's closed, we go on to the next place. It's the power of the internet.
So backing up 2 slides,
Yes, sir.
or we'll go back.
Go back to the budget.
No, the one that shows the flow chart.
Yes, sir.
So when you say phone service, reservation service, is that basically a computer or an
So,
answering machine, or is that an individual?
It's sort of like an answering machine. It's what David has at the airport.
But it's
It'll,
not a service.
no, it's not a service.
So
It,
this is, they call in, they say if you want a park reservation,
Mhm.
push 1.
yes.
Okay, that's fine. That's all I need.
But you're actually gonna get a real person at some point.
At some point, if it's during business hours, this isn't,
Okay.
you know, we're not paying a service where someone's going to answer 24 hours a day.
Right.
What this will allow is so that what's happening now with City Hall, someone calls in, then they transfer it to me. And so what this is eliminating is pretty much that person and allowing them a straightforward person to talk to. I answer already. I mean, I'm the direct connection right now to the public on all fronts of the RV pool and park. So really, it's just allowing them to call one number to get to me.
So they'll say if you want to rent an RV, they
Yeah,
still
so-
end up talking to you, or are they going to go through their?
So it'll be built and designed to be as accessible as possible. If you want to rent an RV, you call in, boom, press 1. Then it will say if you want to leave a reservation request, press 1. And if it's during business hours, it'll be sent to me or to a where they can leave a message, or it will say, you know, if you want to do an online reservation, this is what you go to. It'll offer, you know, accessibility, and that's basically what everyone in the area is already doing versus us. It's just
So they could do a reservation after hours? Like, let's say they roll in here at 5 o'clock on, no, let's say
Online?
8 o'clock on Friday.
online 24 hours a day.
Really?
Basically, what it will be is it'll even email me if someone at, which we don't want people at 1 a.m. coming through the park because that would probably be an issue with PD. But I mean, if our gates are open and yeah, they do a reservation online, it'll say, okay, this site's available because it'll be all up to date. Right now, we have so many different systems, it's confusing. And they'll be able to do that and check in and
Online, or but on phone, that's only during the business.
phone, they would be able to leave a message, correct.
Right.
But it would tell them 24 hours if you want to, you know,
Go
rent
online,
there.
you can do
Yeah,
it.
Please visit our website.
yeah. I guess go back, bouncing
I think
around.
anything that makes it easier on people to be able to get through all of the red tape and all the hassle that it takes, I
Well,
think
part
this
of
is-
We're
the,
on,
if they do
5.
rent some of these pavilions though, if it's a special event, they will have to have paperwork on it because it's a totally different thing. So they'll still have paperwork someday on
We
the
should
large
work on
events.
reducing that as much as possible.
For special events, this has the ability, if someone rents and wants to do a special event request, we can allow all the paperwork online. The only thing that they would have to do is if there's liability waivers or anything like that that have to be signed in person or whatever stuff. But I mean, they'll have access to do everything submitted without having to be in person. It's, you know, really, it'll cut down on our paperwork 100%. One of the things also is the payment, online payment will be huge for us because versus what we currently have, there'll be no fee associated with that online, except, of course, the credit card fee, which everyone has, which is the 2.2%. But with that, our deposits right now, we have to write checks. We don't have to do that. We can put a hold on it, and then once that's been approved, I go on there, boom, refunds back to their account. I give that financial statement to Hilda or to Leroy, and we're done. And I don't know how many checks Ms. Beck usually writes for refunds, but it takes time. So that, I mean, that's just another time saver.
Yes, I signed them.
So back to number 5, so, after, I know the reservation thing was a lot, sorry about that. Small tools, we've been looking at needing a new sander, large sander for a lot of our stuff. We want to seal the wood over time, or we try to repurpose things instead of replacing it. So that would help us out tremendously, is to have a good sander. Vehicles repairs and maintenance increased. We have a few vehicles on my list that are, very, very old, 2003. I know that might not sound old in years, but it does for fleet vehicles. So these require repairs and items like that. So, we added some extra money in there. Safety equipment, currently we don't have hard hats for a lot of my guys, and so it's just following correct PPE, vests, different items like that. So really just adding money into that, because currently what we have isn't working. So capital outlay, these things, if there's not money in the budget for it, it's just items that really we need to focus on. With the master plan, I'll have a lot more information to come bring to y'all. But with that, the playground replacement, $25,000. That might not seem like a lot of money, but currently there's a lot of programs set up for 50-50 matches or 100% matches. So I've already talked to Game Time, and whatever we put towards it, they'll put towards it. That's for equipment only. So I've been looking at what we have comparable playgrounds. They run about $20,000. If we did 10, that would allow us $15,000 for fall surface. So that's what that is. And then trail improvements, one of the concerns we had is emergency access to the trails. Our police department or fire department don't have the ability to get up there. What this would allow us to do is get with the Corps of Engineers with the trails and allow them to show us where we could do trail access, and then we'd be able to get in there and actually do the work to get that accessible so that PD could get vehicles in there, if that be ATVs or what, to allow access in an emergency situation.
Okay, then I recommend you retitle it Trail Improvement, because each trail out there has a sponsor, and I'm one of the sponsors, and I took that as, what improvement are you doing?
Oh,
I
yeah.
would put Trail Emergency Access. Please, thank you.
He didn't like your work?
I watch them on Northwoods Law, and they pack those folks out. They don't have
On the
any.
shoulder. They get paid a lot more than we do.
That's it.
Come on now,
So we'll
Chief.
get you a raise and a backpack. How's that?
Yeah.
Hey, we'll
Parks
bring
and
it home
Wildlife?
after it.
If it takes 45 minutes for EMS to get here, I mean.
We gotta pack you out here, be happy that ATV pulls up with the ice.
Oh, you can't put one on an ATV.
You can't get an ATV up those streets.
It's gonna be too hard on the victim.
But yeah,
They
just
gotta put me
retitle
on
it,
a gurney and carry me out.
because then you could also turn around then and go to the county and talk to the county about helping, get help in putting in those emergency access routes, since it's a safety
Yeah.
thing. I mean, that's how we got a lot of stuff done with Vulcan and everything. that-
Yeah.
With French Regional Park.
Way to patrol up there if we had any. Right now, you have no police presence up there, so
Right,
Yeah.
we can go smoke what we want to up there.
Yeah.
yes.
We could definitely improve that road through the wastewater plant, potentially. That one goes up. It would be right direction to go with that, just
Yeah.
offering that.
So yeah, just swing it that way, because it is, it's emergency access.
Yeah.
Do we have access to the BMA road up there?
Through the wastewater plant or up to the canal
No,
road?
the BMA canal
We-
has a roadway all the way.
Yeah, no, we have a good relationship where we have access to that lock, and we do we assist with some of the trail stuff that on the top up there, but do your officers have access? No?
We'd have to go through the canal gates.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so that's quite a bit out of the way, yeah.
Yes, and
The
it's,
city has an MOU with the BMA for the city's use of that.
Yeah, but having an emergency entrance onto that canal road would be real helpful.
yes, it would.
Okay,
So, yes, sir.
Small tool, $750 large sander, what in the hell sander are you buying?
That's a sander.
That, so overall for small tools, I mean, that usually encompasses just the.
That's not just one.
No. That's just why I'm asking for, more money. No. You're probably looking at about 120 for a good commercial
Say,
one.
let's scratch large sander then.
Don't tell me what kind of sander it is. I might want to buy one.
So overall, it's with additional personnel and the capital outlay items, it's an increase in the budget of $10,930. Of course, we understand, or I understand the budget is the way it is with everything going on. So with both of these items, of course, the emergency access to the trail would be a priority. But with the chance for grants and matching and stuff like that, I'd like y'all to consider the playground replacement also.
I'm sorry, you just repeat what you said. This is an increase of what?
It's an increase in overall budget. Oh, no, it's an increase in, it's an increase in 10,930 minus the capital outlay. So if we didn't add in that, so it's an increase overall in $45,930.
With the capital outlay.
Yes, the capital outlay is $35,000.
And when you say increase, an increase of what? From last year to this year?
Yes, sir.
Because from your approved 2020 to your proposed 2021 is 100 and...
It's 40.
No, it's 45.
No, 45,930.
46,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you said 10,000.
No, that's if we get, because I understand the capital outlay is what it is.
He was saying minus the capital
Okay,
outlay.
nice catch.
Yeah, sorry, it's been a long day.
Understand. Got that. Go for it.
So, yes. I would like to emphasize on the personnel issue. My guys cover a lot of areas of the city, and currently, if one area is lacking, my guys cover that. And it's really hard to run a department where my guys are a catch-all. If something gets done, I get a call, hey, this is an issue, we need this done. We don't mind helping, but that's why the streets and the parks, the separation, because we want to be able to assist other departments, but it really does make it hard to navigate that.
But you want to continue to assist other departments, but just on a more limited basis,
Yes, sir.
is what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Wants to prioritize daily, not hourly.
Yes.
I understand, totally.
Unfortunately, the game that we're in right now, there's no control over that sometimes.
Yeah.
I know it caught everybody off guard when John got sick.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was backpedaling and, okay, we got to do this, Roy, you got to take the helm and this, that. So, yeah, it's good, plan for the best, but we got to be reality now.
Absolutely. And we're all hands on deck when things come down.
And I
but
understand that, but-
it's more of like,
This is the game
It's
we got to
happening
play
too
for a
often.
while.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even Chief brought it up for his police officers, Divine's down to 2.
Mm-hmm.
Related to mowing the grass, that comes out of your Parks and Recreation, that individual, correct?
Facility-wise, yes. And facility and parks. The easements on the roadways and easements on roadways and things that aren't related to parks or facilities, like drainage ditches and stuff, comes out of streets.
Okay. So, and the one thing is, I know I've talked to you, we got to be real careful. You are not mowing private property.
No.
So alongside the roads, where it's the responsibility of the property owner to mow that grass, you're not mowing that property.
No. This is
Anywhere in the
just,
city.
No.
Like along Constantinople, you're not mowing that
Constant-
grass, that's property, they're going down to the low water crossing.
on the left-hand side, the ditch,
Yes.
we do maintain that.
Okay, the problem is you set precedents when you do that, and that property owner was told, you're just like every.
Yeah, I mean,
Because you all aren't mowing it way down where it gets steep, you're only mowing it where.
where the ditch issue is where people weren't maintaining it and it was clogging up. I mean, we're just doing what,
Is
when
that
I
the
got here,
only
I mean,
place in the city that you're doing, well, and when you
I can give you every single area and we can look through it. I just did what was grandfathered in.
Well,
my guys
I know
are,
that wasn't grandfathered in 4 years ago because that was in my district and I got in the middle of that squabble and we told him, he said, yes, I understand.
I believe the longest crew leader or crew member I have is 3 years. So, I mean,
Okay, so it's only 3 years old.
I would have to ask Roy, because Roy's the only person that's been here longer than, what, 5 years?
But what
So,
I'm concerned about is you set precedents that goes from here to the future when we do things like that the city's not responsible to do. And also other property owners say, well, like for instance, across the street, how come we mow on the one side of the street, but we don't mow it on the other side of the street, going down Constantinople to the little water crossing? Because that grass is all high and weeds and everything. So, why does the one?
yeah,
side
I mean,
do that?
I can look at that and we were just
And then up in
maintaining
River
the,
Bluff area, there's property up there, and there's other property where these large tracts of property are being mowed by the city, and it's not city property. So we can't set precedences. Now, unless city council wants to open up and give out free services.
Free landscaping.
yeah. I mean, I'll definitely come back to y'all and we can enforce that on a code enforcement level. But I mean, what they've been doing, from my understanding, is we maintain areas that aren't being maintained to keep the quality of the city looking nice. Because the past mayor had an issue with us doing Highway 90. So I mean, I'm just going off of what,
Highway 90 is a working agreement with the state, and that's something different. But my understanding is that we actually have an agreement with the state highway department about what parts we mow and what parts they mow. But that's what I was told when I asked that question about 3 years ago. They said, oh, no, we have this, and Deb, correct me if I'm wrong. You're not shaking at the horror of that one.
Well, why don't we put this on as an agenda item?
That's
And then we can start
Yeah,
digging
I
into
think it
it.
is very important, especially when we go, well, just if anybody doesn't mow anything, then we're gonna go and cut that grass. That's not a really great precedence for us, because it goes that way into the future, and it's a dangerous thing, but we can put that on a,
Yeah,
okay, next thing.
don't forget.
next one is pool. Overall, we had an increase in telecommunications. That is because of, we're just trying to allocate from, Parks was overseeing a lot of the costs for pool and RV, so we're just trying to split it so everything justifies or represents itself correctly. Reservation services included in that.
Will you go back to that again real quick? Sorry.
And overall, it's a decrease of $13,355. It's the next slide.
First time we saw a decrease in like that.
Yep.
That was under the parks?
That is under pool.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yes.
It's the last
that
presentation
or
before
something.
the 5-year.
Oh, I got it.
Nice.
So the next item is RV. Was there any questions with the pool? RV park. Once again, telecommunications, true allocation of what department is what, splitting the cost. That is related to the internet. Technology, reservation service, and then for the increase.
What is true allocation?
Just before, it was $500 for the RV, and the RV is a large part of the internet at the park. And before it was $5,000 out of parks. So what we did was we split it so that each area represented had some portion of the cost, because it was there for them for a reason, so that it made sense.
Okay.
Are we charged on allocation? No, we're not charged on usage on our internet, are we?
No. Well, we have a higher quality internet at the RV park than we do at the parks office, but it was all in one bill. It was a faster service,
Is it like 100?
200 megabits per second, but it's spread between 6 towers, so it's not very fast.
Okay.
It's like most RV parks.
Yeah.
Like most of them,
They're a little bit slower.
they're slow.
Yeah, they're wireless. They're good.
That's
looking.
all right.
So for this, I did a capital improvement for site improvements. When I first got there, there's been a lot of damage to the spigots and a few other items. So I included in here site improvements, of course, pending just our general maintenance we do on the sites. This would be getting a lot of we have a lot of rocks, sort of like what we see on the streets, the deterioration, and that's built up on the sides. So my plan is to clean that away and maybe try to see with the help of a contractor, if we can find one, or maybe David can help us. He has a seal coat machine, is to seal those sites to prevent those rocks from moving, and then make it so when people step out of their RV, they don't just step on the rock debris and track it inside. So it's really just doing some preventative maintenance and cleanup to the sites. Overall, it's an increase of $11,261. That's related, of course, to the allocations and then the site improvements. If we decide to hold off on the site improvements, it's an increase of $1,200.
That repair that you all had to do, the sewage line repair, was that all done by in-house? So you all did?
Only the scoping was done by an outside party because we don't have a scope. But other than that, John's guys came out and did it. Great job. They did a lot of preventative maintenance. They fixed other stuff. They didn't just fix the problem. They fixed 2 other lines that were right there so that we wouldn't have to dig that up in the inconceivable future. So kudos for them. That was a great job.
And that's just all helping out, everybody helping out. You all don't reallocate those expenses or anything?
No.
That's fine.
We pay for all the materials and things, and since it's a utility thing,
Right.
usually we don't ask for stuff like that. If it was an electrical issue or something, it would be done through a contractor versus our guys, but since it's something these guys do.
That's fine.
I had a question on my budget for the Baseball Association, some of the charges that come out of my account, so I just wanted to clarify them and then put them in the presentation for everyone. So for one of my things, it was mislabeled last year as equipment. It's actually land rental at the airport, $8,161 yearly, and then out of my utilities, based on this year to date, it's a little less than $9,000. So this is just some general information because I've had some people ask me about it. So I just wanted to be upfront with all of y'all on the items on there. Of course, the contract is up for renewal February 2021. So is there any questions with that?
Is land rental, is that money coming in or money going out?
That's money that's coming out of my budget that goes into the airport fund.
Okay, and then the same thing with the utilities?
Because of the baseball program.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Is that, so the first one is because the airport has to get fair market value, which,
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
we're paying that out of
Parks.
Parks and Recreation.
Because
Okay.
it's a park.
And then the utility, same thing, because we're paying for their water and their power.
It's just for the water.
The water, electricity's hardly.
Yeah. That's just for the water cost of, to them.
Remember what we do for electricity? That's just, we pay that.
They pay it.
They pay it.
They pay the electrical, we provide the water.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that shown in your budget?
What was that?
Where is that, those 2 numbers shown in your budget?
If you just go back to the Parks and Rec page, it is in utility expenses under supplies. It's lumped in there with the rest of my areas. And then if you go down a little further, you'll see land rental under uniform expenses and purchase services.
Under what?
Purchased services. I don't know if that's the best spot for it, but I guess we do purchase it from the airport.
Purchased services, there you go.
So under purchase services equipment,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if that, but I guess you can't add another, that definitely doesn't explain what that is.
Can
Yeah.
we change that to make that reflect what it actually is? Sure. That line item?
We do that.
Okay.
Yeah, anything you could have missed in any.
And then where did you say the utilities was?
In utilities up here. Right here on the bottom of supplies, the last one of the supplies, under Parks and Recreation.
Oh, it's in 30.
It's lumped in, yeah.
Right down there.
It's roughly 25% of that expense.
Go up four, right there.
Utility expense. Oh, gotcha. So,
It's in there because that also includes all their other utilities.
gotcha.
Maybe put a note on the side,
8,000 of that is utilities.
put a note out on the side saying that X amount is for the expenses, the utilities, the water for the park, the softball, whatever it is.
Why can't you even say youth baseball?
Yeah.
I just call it what it is.
You know, I was on, when that contract came up for renewal, that was discussion the city council had at that time, and I happened to be on the council at that time, and the idea was, well, we're doing this for the benefit of the youth.
I understand that.
And that's why the council agreed to take
Just
on
lump
those
it
expenses.
together.
And were you guys aware of what the cost was? Did you have the breakdown of the land rental and the utilities?
That was what went into that price.
The fair market value was done by a realtor. He went out and did do an appraisal. I
Okay,
have it
good.
in the packet. And then, of course, I guess the utilities, as far as the water, they just decided, they configured how much 12 acres feet per year it would cost, you know, the cost wise. I'm assuming. Because that's what they're allotted, and you need to know
Yeah.
that they pay it.
Okay.
I don't know what they actually use.
That's a lot of work.
I know.
It's nowhere
I don't know
near.
They ain't no way to use 12 acres.
No.
It was just I guess they just made sure that they had plenty. and they did.
So the next slide, revenue projections on here, just what currently we have rentals for and programs. I am looking to offer more things in the future, which goes into this slide. Rental fee assessment. I did assessment of the surrounding areas on a few items. I will tell you right now, we are a rarity as a park. We have more things than a majority of cities combined in the area. So I had to go far and wide to try to find anything. Basically, we are on the areas we do charge. We are pretty comparable. The RV rental per month thing's a little hard to do because we aren't specifically an RV park like some of the places where they have a lot more amenities. But other than that, tent camping, we're right on where they are. We don't have the space that a lot of places do. A few areas that I would like to add to our fee schedule, which y'all will see in the fee part, softball practice, softball usage of our fields, volleyball usage, permits for usage inside the parks, and special events are all areas that I would like to look at having fees for our parks to also improve the quality of the areas. This would go into maintenance improving. Currently, we don't do much for the softball fields and or volleyball. So these fees, I have communicated with the groups and I have told them if we do enact fees, it will be to improve the quality of these areas, and no one has any objections to it.
We're the black or the blue?
We are the black, the blue, darker blue. I guess I didn't put a quality on there. Yeah, so overall, we're the ones on the left-hand side. Sorry, that is, it's in.
So we have room for adjustment.
Yes, sir. So I would say within a year or so with the new reservation system, plus with a quality fee survey assessment to bring it to y'all, I think I can definitely show y'all if we have areas of current fees, if we need to raise them, or how that would work. And we already went through this one. Any more questions with any of the presentation? That's basically it.
Because I'll forget to remind you that later in our agreement with the Una Valley Youth Baseball Association, the city gets to audit their records once a year. Is the city doing that?
They actually submit their financials to us on a yearly basis.
Okay, so we review their financials and, okay.
Did you get those from, you didn't get them from last year, right? I think you sent them directly to the Delaware.
I don't remember. I got, no, I didn't get it from last year, I think.
Did you get them?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
When Jerry Canosa was the finance director, I believe there was that one year that they sent it directly to her,
Okay.
because I still have not gotten any copies to put in my records. But I think everybody, whoever gets them, if they put any copies, we can stick them in there, that way we'll know. Because
Okay.
they were sending them, we just didn't know it.
Great.
And for reference, the reason is that since the city was providing funds, we felt it was the city's fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the money was being used for the benefit of the kids and not anything else. We didn't have, it's not that we distrusted them. It was part of the city's fiduciary responsibility with them.
Is there any other questions with either presentations?
They're good. Thanks a bunch, Doug.
Nicely done, thanks.
Now you're out of the hot seat.
Yeah. And you did draw the short straw.
Always.
So if y'all are okay with this, can we do the rest on Tuesday in the afternoon, which is fine?
No, we want to go till midnight.
And,
I got some chicken left. Heat it up.
so,
We can have a cold chicken party.
Okay, and what time do we want to meet on Thursday?
No, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Before the council meeting.
2 o'clock preferably, if y'all can.
So that means we're meeting from 2 to 5, that's 3 hours, plus the council meeting after that.
Honestly, you know what, I mean, even 3, because there's not much to present. I mean, there's a few things, but I don't think it'll take 3 hours long.
Okay.
So
So 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock?
Let me make sure.
That way we can break a few minutes before I start.
Sure. Yeah, just figure out what that looks like and we can no, we can't.
I mean, we have
You
to
gotta finalize it now.
I mean, I think 3 o'clock would work, I really do.
Okay.
Make it
That's the
work.
28th?
Next Tuesday, yes.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
Since you
Should we do-
provided ice cream and lunch today, thank you for that. Are
Thank
gonna
you
have
very
your
much.
beer for us on Tuesday?
She'll keep the leftovers.
We'll freeze it.
And that's also council meeting.
Right.
Yep.
And we can
At
always
5
have
o'clock.
whatever is left over in the following council meeting, either way, you know that. It's not like we'll never see you.
Okay. Great. So we all good? All right, then,
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
do we need a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, you need to adjourn at 7.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Second.
There you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
At 4:57?
4:57. Nicely done.
We said 2 p.m.?
3.
3 p.m., thank you.
That works even better.